Hey, what's up guys? Hardleg Joe here with your deck profile for the Anti Meta Triamids. I'm just going to go through everything in here, and then I'll explain how it works. So we've got 2 Triamid Sphinx, 1 Block Dragon, 3 Triamid Master, 3 Fossil Dyna something something, 3 Triamid Hunter, 1 Sentry Soldier of Stone, 3 Chonomaly Crystal Bones, 3 Chonomaly Crystal Skull, 3 Triamid Dancer, and 3 Chonomaly Guardian Knot. For our spells, we have 3 Terraforming, 1 Foolish Burial, 3 Triamid Fortress, 3 Triamid Cruiser, 3 Triamid King Golem, 1 Necrovalley, and 1 Black Garden. No traps whatsoever. For our extra deck, we have 1 Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Gustav Max, 1 Gemnite Pearl, 1 101, 1 Giant Hand, 1 Heartland Draco, 1 Castell, 1 Crab King, 1 Acid Golem, 1 Gram Pulse, 1 Soul of Silver Mountain, 3 Gorgonic Guardian, 1 Zenmanes, and 1 Giant Soldier of Steel. The side deck I'll go over in a moment. So this deck basically runs off 3 things. We've got our big giant attacker, which is Triamid Sphinx. Cannot be normal summoned or set. Must be special summoned with the effect of a Triamid card, and cannot be special summoned other ways. If a face-up Triamid card is destroyed, except for Sphinx, by battle or card effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. While you control another Triamid card, this gun gains 500 attack and defense for each field spell with a different name in your graveyard. Also, monsters your opponents controls cannot attack, except to attack Triamid Sphinx. So this guy's kind of a behemoth. He can easily get up to 4,500 or 5,000 attack, especially given how many different field spells we have and the bonuses they give, and some of our other boosts we can get from the Triamids. So getting him out is paramount. The second thing this deck does is make Gorgonic Guardian. This is 2 level 3 rock monsters. Once per turn during either player's turn, detach 1 material, target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. Its attack becomes 0, and if it does, its effects are negated. These effects last until the end of the turn. Also, once per turn, you can target 1 monster on the field with 0 attack and destroy it. So, this is your big beater, this is your big negator, and then everything else is just running off these various field spells. If you're unfamiliar with the Triamids, they're all rock monsters, and the 3 Triamid cards besides the boss monster, the Master, the Hunter, and the Dancer all have the same effect, that during your opponent's turn, if you have a Triamid field spell, you can send it to the graveyard and activate 1 directly from your deck. And so they have many different field spells. Triamid Fortress is a defensive one. It says all rock monsters gain 500 defense. It also says that Triamid cards you control cannot be destroyed by card effects. And if this is sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 Triamid monster in your graveyard to your hand. So this is your defensive card, as long as you keep 1 Triamid out. If they try to Dark Hole, Raigeki, anything really that blows up all your cards, all you gotta do is swap out one of your other Triamid field spells for this, and that effect won't be able to destroy any of your Triamid cards. Great protection. Triamid Cruiser is sort of like your speed-up, advantage, card drawing sort of thing. It's each time a rock monster is normal summoned, gain 500 life points. If a Triamid monster is normal summoned, you can draw 1 card and then discard 1 card. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you could search a Triamid monster from your deck to your hand. So this is your searcher. A lot of times you're going to put this out, maybe normal summon just so you can get some stuff into the graveyard, and then just immediately put another field spell on top of it so you can search out whatever you need. Normally you want to search out Sphinx, because as long as this is in your hand, anytime they get rid of one of your Triamids, you can summon this out. The third field spell they have is King Golem. This is the attack-based field spell. All rock monsters gain 500 attack. If a Triamid battles, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects until the end of the damage step, so it's like an Armades or UA Slugger kind of effect. And if this is sent from the field zone to the graveyard, you can special summon 1 Triamid monster from your hand. And that includes Sphinx, because he says he can't be summoned except by a Triamid card. So that includes the field spell. And just like with Fortress, you want to use the effect, like if you have Fortress out and you have like Master and they try to attack it with something that has like 19 or 2,000, you can tag out into King Golem and it'll give him 500 and they'll just crash into it and take the extra damage. And then finally we have the 1 Necrovalley and the 1 Black Garden. Because you go through your deck so quickly and we play the 3 Terraforming, you could search these out. These are sort of the anti-meta components of this, because a lot of your Triamids get effects when there's a field spell. Doesn't have to be a Triamid field spell, as long as you have a field spell. So, being able to, like, put in a Cruiser and then trade it out for Necrovalley to search your Triamid, and then being able to shut down your opponent's graveyard, or being able to stop them. This is really good against Pendulum decks, where everything they get out is halved. And of course, if these aren't useful to you in particular, we've got in the side deck the Summon Breaker and the Extranet. These are both pretty decent in certain situations. This one says if the turn player conducts a 3rd summon of a monster that turn, it becomes the end phase. And Extranet says if a monster is special summoned from the extra deck, the opponent of the player that's summoned gets to draw 1 card. So this is draw power, and this is sort of like ending things. If you've got more swarmy decks, because this deck doesn't special summon a lot, and it only really special summons from the extra deck maybe once per turn, if that, a lot of times you're running on just beat down with these massive rock monsters. You can tag these in just as easily, and like I said, you just search through them, put them in when you need them, and if you don't want them anymore, if they're negatively affecting you, you can just play one of your other field spells on top of it. So the rest of these, a lot of them are just rank 3 engine just to get out Gorgonic Guardian as much as possible, because this is your big effect negation, make their attack 0. This is big stopping your opponent, especially if you can get 2 of these out. We run a very basic rank 3 Chonomaly engine. How this works is Chonomaly Crystal Bones. If you don't control a monster and your opponent does, you can special summon it, and then special summon another Chonomaly from your hand or graveyard. And since we got the 2 3s, you're automatically going to get a 3. Gordian Knot is when this is normal summoned, you can special summon a Chonomaly from your hand and then make its level become the same, but they're all 3, so it doesn't matter. And then Crystal Skull is just going to, if you control a Chonomaly, you can discard it and then search out a Chonomaly from your deck. So there's some synergy, obviously, like if you discard this to the graveyard, you could special summon it back out with Bones. Of course, these are all rock monsters, so they're all going to get that attack boost that turns Chonomaly Crystal Bones into an 1800 beater, which is not bad, especially considering Triamid Hunter. This is if you control a field spell, you can normal summon twice as long as it's a rock monster. So that's really easy to get out, like, even if you just have, like, this guy and any of your Chronomalies, then you got a rank 3 play just right there. Especially with Chonomaly Guardian Knot, like, normal summon this, get your additional normal summon for Knot, and then Knot's effect will activate to let you special summon from your hand. So you should be able to start just about every turn being able to make Gorgonic Guardian in some respect. We've also playing the 1 Sentry Soldier of Stone. This is if you control a rock monster, while this card is in your graveyard, you could special summon it once per turn. So this just keeps coming back. You can just keep making Ixie monsters with it, and then every turn just summon it back out as long as you control rocks. And of course, Gorgonic Guardian is rock, so that works perfectly with that. We only play the 1 because it's not all that useful on its own. The only ways we have to discard it is Triamid Cruiser, which isn't all that consistent. I do play the 1 Foolish Burial just to help make it a little bit better, but it's still not the most consistent thing. In addition, we've got our 1 of Block Dragon. You can special summon this from your hand or graveyard by banishing 3 earth monsters from your hand or graveyard. And again, most of these are earth. A couple of the Chronomalies are light, but most of them are earth. So this is sort of like your recovery play. And then while it's on the field, rock monsters can't be destroyed except by battle. And if this is sent to the graveyard, you can add 3 rock monsters from your deck to your hand whose total levels equal 8. So that'll let you get 2 of your level 4s back out. Triamid Master and Fossil Dyna, which are 2 other key components of the deck. Fossil Dyna is pretty self-explanatory, stops special summons, which is good because we can normal summon twice using Hunter, and oftentimes we can like special summon and then normal summon this out. And because we swarm with like high attack rock monsters that just stop them, like if your opponent can't special summon and you've got 1800 attack point beat sticks, a lot of decks are going to have trouble getting over that. And then finally we've got Triamid Master and Triamid Dancer. Master is just good because he's a beat stick. He's got 1800. Of course, with King Golem, it's going to go up to 23. So the strongest of the non-Sphinx Triamids. Its effect is you can send 1 Triamid card you control to the graveyard to destroy 1 set card on the field. That includes both monsters and spells and traps, which is pretty decent, especially like if you have 2 field spells in your hand. You can like activate Cruiser and then send Cruiser to the graveyard to destroy something, and then you get a search, so you're not going minus off of anything. And we also have Dancer, probably the least useful of the Triamids, but because we do Sphinx so much, you really want to have all the Triamids you can. This is you can target 1 Triamid card in your graveyard, shuffle it into the deck, and if you do, all rock monsters you control gain 500 attack and defense. So that attack boost is permanent, which is pretty nice. It just adds on to the more beat stick elements. It also makes sure that your field spells get recycled because you can just shuffle them back into the deck. It's also a level 3 rock, so it just works with everything else. The rest of the extra deck is pretty much just a toolbox. We do play the 1 Super Dreadnought just because we've got the Sphinxes that are level 10. There's a chance you can get both of them out, and then if you can't attack for whatever reason, you can burn them to death with that. We play Gemnite Pearl because it's a rock monster, so it'll get that extra attack boost. Diamond Crab King is also a rock monster. course, it'll only have that 3000 attack for 2 turns, so sometimes you want Gemnite Pearl, most of the time you just want Diamond Crab King. We also play the Acid Golem of Destruction, because again, it's a rock monster with 3000 attack. And Soul of Silvermouth, this is an interesting card. Target one set card in your opponent's spell trap zone. As long as this card is on the field, it can't be activated. And if it destroys a monster by battle while it has Ixie material, you could target one Earth monster in your graveyard, special summon it in defense position. So it's got some nice synergy with the deck. It can, because we don't have any spell trap removal, it can stop your opponent from activating that. And you can summon your cards from the graveyard. You can like Ixie summon, and then detach like your Hunter, and then just summon your Hunter back if you can attack over things. Everything else is just sort of like a toolbox of rank 4s and 3s. Mostly 3s because that's what we make, but a couple 4s just in case you get out your Triamid Masters. The only other thing is the side deck. I did actually build a side deck. I already mentioned the 2 extra field spells. There's also Aroma Jar and Gate Blocker. These are both rock monsters that can be useful in certain situations. This, if your opponent doesn't have any like monster removal, because this is really good for stopping you from being destroyed, but if they're not destroying anything, this is a really good way to stop attacks and stuff. Gate Blocker, kind of underrated. Negate the effects of your opponent's field spells, and your opponent cannot place counters on cards, or target other monsters you control for card effects. Mathematician's pretty good in this. I wanted to stay with the all rocks, because I originally had Solidarity, which Solidarity is probably a good choice in this too, if you just want to go all beat down. But Mathematician's good for sending Sentry Soldier of Stone to the graveyard, because you really only need the one. Neospatian Grandmole, another rock monster that can be really good. Didn't really want to play him at 1, but he's a good option. If you were doing this more competitively, Bottomless Trap Hole is really good. And then the Triamid Pulse, which is the only Triamid trap card. It's once per turn you can banish any combination of rock monsters or field spells to either target one face-up card and destroy it, or target one rock monster in your graveyard, special summon it, or target 3 field spells in your graveyard, shuffle them to the deck, draw 1 card. The second 2 effects, not all that useful. It's mostly just more removal. If you're having trouble with spell traps, because we don't really play any spell trap removal, this could be a good option. It's a little slow because you already have to have things in the graveyard, and it does banish, but it gets rid of things, so there's always that. Maybe swap out for your Block Dragon, since you'll be banishing your rocks anyway. So there you go, there's your deck profile for this week. Next week, I have no idea what I'm making. Until then, good luck, have fun.